You can search for anything at any point in time and get an answer. Especially now, you can just type in anything in Google or especially with ChatGPT and simultaneously get an instantaneous response to you in real time and start talking to the machine and getting ideas for anything that you want. It's crazy that this stuff exists. A lot of stuff has existed for a while now, but especially now, there really is no excuse that for you to not create something at least useful for yourself. I mean, you can create things that are like for other people and products, services, whatever. But now more than ever, I think that we have the capability to create useful things for our own selves, our own personal AIs, our own personal machines that help us in the world in some way. And like I've said before in previous videos, a lot of the most important things for your life are things that an AI can't do, are things that artificial intelligence is simply not going to be able to enter into the domain of what your soul is trying to actually accomplish here in this realm. So everything that takes the load off and takes all the pressures of our own individual self labor in these things will help us relieve the burden so we can go on our soul's mission. I really think that way about artificial intelligence. It may not be there at the full scale yet, but it definitely can turn into that. Whether or not it will, that's ultimately up for the future to decide. And so I've been thinking about what does it mean to like live in your purpose? Because it's kind of one of those things that's unquantifiable. Like, what is a purpose? How do you know you're living it? How do you know you're doing it right? And what happens if your purpose changes? And so I've been reflecting a lot lately on when I was 18, because that's 10 years ago. I've been reflecting a lot lately on how my purpose has shifted over these years, because it definitely has. In a lot of ways, it's like 10 years have gone by, but have lived at least three different lives within that period of time, and then like another two before that. Time has this weird effect to it where parts of you are almost stored in these slots in your previous form and you can enter back into them. But for the most part, you just keep on living and you look back and you're just so much different than how you were before that you're almost a new thing now. And that's how time feels. It feels like we're moving into something way different. And I think a lot of people are thinking about their purpose. They're thinking about what can I do that's meaningful to me and just do that. Because the 9 to 5 grind, the work for a corporate job, go up the ladder, get the watch at the end of it, your 401k, that world, that reality, it doesn't exist anymore. And we know that. We know it doesn't exist. And even if it did exist, I don't know anyone my age that would want that. No one my age wants to stay in a singular location for more than 2 or 3 years or stay at the same job for 2 or 3 years. We're incentivized to want to do our own thing and live our own life. And especially now more than ever, to put our life on social media for other people to consume and see. So there's a lot of weird things happening in the world right now that's changing, making the future itself unpredictable because we don't know what's going to happen next. You look at just 20 years ago, that paradigm, that social order, and you compare that to what's normal now, it's very different. Very different things are happening, especially in this world. Not all of it's great, not all of it's bad, but it's different. And so when you look at the next 20 years, what that might look like, now more than ever, we really can't predict the future. We can predict that technology is going to continue to be a part of our lives in more and more ways. And we don't know what that relationship looks like yet, but it's happening. And when I look back at my life, I've always been using technology since I was 12, 13 years old when we got our first computer. I was learning HTML and like basic CSS. I was starting my own business like I did in my previous video when I was 13, 14, selling the little skateboards online. When I was 19, 20, I started a juice bar and I heavily used the internet to research and do things there and draw up things and make 3D models for the store. I've been utilizing the internet and technology and computers this entire time. And when I think about what's made me different in terms of the spiritual domain, what has made me step into my power to where I feel I can interface with reality in a real time way, it's because I'm always interacting with technology. I'm always interacting with computers. Computers itself, my relationship with them, I've become smarter as a result of engaging with computers. My mind is like a computer. And so we have all this talk about, oh, the world's going towards this technological era and we don't know what's going to happen. But I think that it's a good thing. The more we utilize technology, computers, and computers are all around us, and we're using automations to improve our lives, I genuinely think that it's going to improve our lives up to the point where perhaps we're going to have to make some big decisions as to when it's no longer improving our lives, it's destroying our lives, which we'll approach that as it comes. And some would even say we're like right on the brink of that, which I can see how that's true. But computers, technology, all this stuff is great. It's wonderful. The fact that you can just make a video and then press like pause, press play, upload it, put it online, have a title, and then like within 2 minutes, someone else can just watch your video and comment, and they can upload a video, and you could do that with articles, videos, pictures, all media formats. We even have media formats now that are common for people to consume and create in, and everyone's sharing their voice online. Like this stuff didn't happen. This stuff wasn't 20 years ago. We didn't have this. And so when you look at how much society has grown, at least like on a mental level and our awareness of things itself, we now have basically displayed the world in a digitized format online for us all to like live within. And that's how I think the internet is like starting to kind of emerge into where we're almost living in a digital society online when we're on the phone. We're connecting to like a digitized mental thought realm where our consciousness is like in the screen as you're like swiping things through and looking at people's profiles and whatever. It already is like we're building a digital society for our consciousness to step into. I think there's a lot of people that say like this is the end of the world, technology can destroy us, don't take the mark, all these things. But all that stuff, it's like, yes, it's there, and I can see how that functions that way and how this could be a type of trap. But when I look at like back to my base reality, back to my life, I have so greatly benefited from the use of technology, programming, learn how to interface with technology more, use it to get smarter. Technology has been the greatest thing that has ever happened to my life. Computers, iPhones, tablets, phones, all of it is so good. It's been so beneficial for me to have and was like the missing piece for me. I almost like really do wonder what would I have been like if I never had technology in my life? Like, what if I grew up in the 1800s or the early 1900s or whatever? I don't know what that would like. What would that person be? And I think that so much of ourselves we can totally address to just we're existing within the realm of where we have technology at this current point in time. And we don't really think about how much that has made us into who we are now. When we think about it, technology, like I said before, it's a wonderful tool and you can use it in incorrect ways which don't benefit you. And there's definitely like a lot of that happening. But if you learn how to utilize technology, if you learn how to build your own tools and use all the right softwares out there available to like organize your brain, organize your thoughts, you'll learn graphic design a little bit, learn how to make websites, learn how to be proficient in the realm of technology, then you'll find that your ability to create, to do anything at all, will have massively upscaled, that you'll start to feel more confident that you can actually affect the real world because you can do things. And so now more than ever, we can actually create things and do things online. And it's not directly tied to like a labor or like some skill that we had in the past, like, being a blacksmith or being a mechanic or all these things. All those trades, they still are there and just as valuable. But now we have new sets of skills, new things that we can do online, like a graphic designer or a 3D artist or a web designer or just a general backend engineer coder. There's all these new paradigms of just working on computers that can now be our jobs. And like when you think about stuff, it's crazy. Like I said before, we're building a digital society already online. Everything's like in the computer. And that's really weird to think about because what is the computer? Like it's all just like ones and zeros at the end of it, right? The screen that you look at, it feels like it's immersive and it's there and it's real, but it's just like a flat screen with pixels arranged in moving pictures. at, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, giving you the illusion that that thing's animating and becoming real. Like our reality in a lot of ways is like almost the exact same dynamic when you think about it. Your reality processor has a frames per second mode. And I think that when we're talking about like spiritual progression, it's basically the same thing. As you become more spiritual and more hyper aware of your senses, your frames per second starts to update to where like your reality becomes more HD. And so these are things to just think about because I'm like just thinking about spirituality, technology, how it all like merges together in a conscious way. And I think that this is how it begins. It begins with the actual transference of energy and information, high quality information compacted into media formats that people can digest. That's a bit like futuristic, that's a bit talking about reality in like a computerized way. But again, when I look at back in my life, how much I've grown, it can be completely attributed to technology. There's no other confluence in my life except for like day trading, which is another form of technology that I've been working on. There's nothing else that I can attribute that has made me grow the most, other than just becoming very proficient at computers. So I think that the more proficient you become at utilizing technology, putting things out there, packaging forms for other people to consume and use and collaborate and all these things, it gives you the type of creative power that you feel that abundance, all that energy that you can actually affect the world. And that's what everyone's looking for. They're looking for that connection to themselves such that they feel that they can actually put things out there, people respond to it, and they're drawing energy in and they're giving it out. And there's this equilibrium between their efforts. All of us want that dynamic to a certain extent. We want to be seen, recognized, and for people to come to us with different things and we can solve problems for them and shoot them out this way and be like, all right, give me another problem and keep on going. We all like want to be functional to each other. I think ultimately that's what we all want. We want to be useful to ourselves, useful to other people, and that's how you find connection through that service. So we're moving into a world right now where it's just all service based communication, technology, and forming relationships and being helpful to each other. And the most helpful way that I can be of service to you is just through giving you information that I've learned through interacting with technology, living life, and doing my thing. And so technology is great. AI is great. Don't fall into the hype train that this stuff's gonna be the end of the world because it's not. It's one step forward.